In this video, we go through the origins of mercantilism and free trade and explain how the modern day free trade system came about. The footage actually comes from a longer episode on the US-China trade war. If you'd like to check that out, please click on the link above now. Otherwise, thanks for watching.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. I call the Prime Minister.
Hey there, my name's Rob. Welcome to Hidden Perspective, the channel that researches and assaults political issues from all sides so you can be free to make up your own mind. If you're new, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any new videos. But now, on to the video.
So I want you to take a look at the closest object near you and have a guess. Where was it made? Odds are, if I were a betting man, I'd definitely say it's a country other than the one that you're living in. And odds are that it's going to be China, right? For example, my phone.
Let's say China.
My computer.
China.
Pretty much everything in my apartment.
China. 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 China.
But how did this all happen? Well, first, we need to go back. So humans have always traded in some form throughout history, typically is through bartering. And it wasn't until the rise of the nation state at the close of the Middle European ages that we really began to say, hey, what works in terms of trade arrangements? So we came up with this idea called mercantilism in the 16th and 17th century. And it was all about acquiring that sweet, sweet gold. It was really important for national policy that you would acquire gold. That was seen as the best way to acquire wealth. But what that also meant is that you could only prosper at the expense of another nation. So for example, if country A sells to country B, country A is benefiting from that situation, but country B is losing in that situation. So as a result of that, countries tried to stimulate exports and restrict imports. But then came that monumental year of 1776. No, it wasn't the year that the US was founded. Come on, people, there's more to life than America. No, it was a year that arguably one of the most influential books in human history was published. I know it's a big call, but I'll stand by it. It was the year that Adam Smith published The Wealth of Nations. Now, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this book changed the course of human history. Most famously, it gave us the idea of the invisible hand, which is the seemingly counterintuitive idea that pursuing your self-interest is also in the interest of society as a whole. The famous quote is, "It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the baker, or the brewer that we can expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own self-interest." But more importantly, for current purposes, it made the compelling case for free trade, which follows from the simple idea that in every country, it always is and must be the interest of the great body of the people to buy whatever they want of those who sell it cheapest. And so, in order to buy goods for the cheapest price, naturally, it makes sense to buy goods from countries that can produce those goods more cheaply, right? Adam Smith also took the idea of specialization and applied it to the country level. So in the same way that it doesn't make sense for a tailor to be making their own shoes, it also doesn't make sense for a country to be making goods that it can buy more cheaply from other countries. And so note in this respect, it doesn't matter to Adam Smith if you need to import goods from other countries. Now, this is in sharp contrast to the mercantilist view of trade, which, as I mentioned just before, wants to restrict imports. Adam Smith also points to other benefits of trade, the first one being that you can sell surplus produce to countries abroad, and the second being that free trade improves your productivity because it exposes you to foreign competition. And so that's Adam Smith, the founding father of economics in a nutshell. I hope I've given you an accurate retelling of Adam Smith. Otherwise, I've failed all of my high school economics teachers as well as all of my university economics professors.
Sorry to interrupt the video, but if you're getting value from it, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Awesome. Now back to the video.
Now, shortly after this, David Ricardo refines these ideas into the principle of comparative advantage, which is basically the idea that you should specialize in areas in which you have a comparative advantage, being the areas with the lowest possible opportunity cost. What does all that economic mumbo jumbo mean? Well, it means that you should specialize in making things that you do really well relative to what else you could be doing with your time and money relative to your trading partners. And so by engaging in trade with your trading partners, both you and them can acquire more goods and services than you would be able to otherwise. And with this, free trade is in, mercantilism is out. Economists pretty much unanimously get behind the idea of free trade. This also leads England to enjoy a largely unrestricted run of free trade up until World War I. But despite England's affinity for free trade, it isn't accepted universally. In particular, there were high surges of protectionism in the first half of the 20th century. Protectionism is just the idea of erecting trade barriers such as tariffs and import quotas to protect domestic companies and workers. But nevertheless, free trade has clearly become the norm in recent history, with economists citing the level of trade openness that we have now as the highest it's ever been in human history. This is largely thanks to particularly free trade friendly leaders at the end of the 20th century, leaders such as President Reagan in the States, Margaret Thatcher in the UK, the Hawke-Keating duo in Australia, in addition to many other leaders around the world. Then we started forming regional trading blocs, such as the formalization of the European Union in 1992. Then there was agreement on NAFTA in 1993. In the year 1995, the World Trade Organization, or the WTO, gets established in order to preserve and advance economic globalization to prevent the protectionist horrors of the 1930s. Even China joins the WTO in 2001. And by and large, this globalizing free trade system seems to be working. We have global poverty, which is falling. China has the greatest economic transformation in human history, lifting more than 500 million people out of abject poverty. Other countries like Vietnam, other countries throughout Southeast Asia, and even Africa report their biggest gains in history. And Western countries also seem to benefit by getting access to cheap shit and also by specializing into high-skilled industries that developing countries can't compete with. And so that was the story how virtually everything you own came to be produced in another country.
I think they're all insane.
If you got value from this episode, please do me a quick favor. First, hit subscribe. And second, leave a 5-star review if you're podcasting, or hit the like button and the notification bell if you're YouTubing. There, too easy. See you next time.